Namaste, everybody. Welcome back to Soundarya Lahari Sādhana. Today we will explore a new verse 21, because we took a short detour with a little Vedanta in between for 19 and 20. 21 verse will be much easier to understand. Om Shri Matre Namah. With that, we will begin with our Śloka 21 today. But before that, after exploring Śloka number 19 and 20, we took a break on explaining the Trivargatmaka Tattvam with Devi. We explained using only one example, which is Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. The Śloka 19 was explaining how we can meditate on Devi using three forms, with Mukham on top, Kujayugam in the middle, and Yoni on the bottom. And then next Śloka, Śloka 20, was talking about how we can meditate her as Himakara Shila Murti Mevaya. So it's a Spadikam with the hue of moon. That's why it was Himakara in white in color. So what we want to see is that, yes, she's that three-part, but she's not just that three-part, she's beyond that. That's what that Spadikam is showing. So she's that Turiya Bhavam, not just Durga Lakshmi Saraswati, not just Jagrat, Supna, Sushupti. She's beyond the three avastha. So that is what we saw last time, just to connect that 19 and 20. So we took the example of Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, where Jagrat Avastha, in the waking stage, we are seeing so many experiences. We are seeing, hearing, smelling, touching. With all these five senses, we are accepting all these sensations, perception, and mind is processing. And to that, there is one thing that is without changing, that is being there as a witness to all these changing things in the Jagrata Avastha. And we call that thing consciousness. That's not a man or a woman. There is no it. We can't even call Vastu because there is no Nama Rupam. But that is the consciousness, the pure consciousness. During our lifetime, we go through only these three stages, either Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti. Death is actually the same as Sushupti. And then we get reborn. Again, repeat Jagra, Swapna, Sushupti. Death is same as Sushupti. We repeat Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. So we experience this on and on and on. So in 24 hours, we experience this one, but on a throughout lifetime, we experience this. Even after lifetime, we experience exact same thing. So that's why we took one example of Trivargatmagam. But then we said in Jagrata Avastha, we go through this experience, and then one person, one thing, or one vastu is saying that that is consciousness. And then same thing happens with Swapna. Swapna, there is no Indriya, doesn't bring any of the perception, but in there, mind itself is kind of analyzing, and mind is projecting things in vritti, or mental modification is happening in Swapna Avastha. And somebody is noticing that too as a Sakshi. And Sakshi has to be without change. If Sakshi changes, that is not consciousness, right? Sakshi is all pervasive, boundless, limitless, but always there, watching whatever is happening in Jagrata Avastha, whatever is happening Swapna Avastha, whatever is happening Sushupti Avastha. So in Sushupti, there is nothing to watch, right? There are no mental vritti, but there is an absence of mental vritti. That also consciousness is watching. So we are that consciousness. We usually see us as this one of the three, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, and there are so many in Trivargatmaka, right? If you take an example of Srishthisthiti Samharam, of creation, maintenance, and dissolution, layam, we see that all the time. We see not only our own life, like we have the Srishti Siddhi and then we die. Not only that, the entire Prapancham is created, maintained, and then in the layam, it's not samharam as in destruction, but it dissolves back into Ishvara. And then the cycle repeats. Again, Srishti, Sthiti, Samharam. So we only think the Srishti, Sthiti, Samharam, but there is some force that is behind the Srishti, Sthiti, Samharam. That is Ishvara. Same thing with Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So these are Trigunatmagam. That's why we are getting born. So these gunams are the basic reasons of why whatever we see is different. The difference is because of the guna, sattva, rajas, tamas guna. The one that we just chanted, Sindhurarana Vigraham Trinayanam. There is another Trivargatmagam here, Trinayanam. She has 3 eyes. So her right eye is representing past, left eye is representing future, and where do we live? In the present. Present is the third eye, the middle eye, right? Third eye, when we say that third eye opening, when Shiva opens the third eye, Manmatha get destroyed. What does that actually mean? So that opening the third eye mean we remove the duality. So Manmatha is actually, the word meaning is that the one that does the mathanam of mind. What does the mathanam of mind? All these vishayas that we are experiencing, all the indriya vishaya that we are experiencing create that sensation in our mind. So that is Manmatha, as simple as that. So that Manmatha, when we are experiencing, we feel the two. So what Shiva does is that Shiva opens his eyes and then burns Manmatha. So there is no two, there is no duality. There we experience only that Advaita, the one and only. Right? So that is another Trivargatmagam, 3 eyes representing past, present, and future. Then Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, same as Srishthisthiti Samharam, and the equivalent Shakti Bhavam is Durga, Lakshmi, Saraswati. Then Icha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. Then if we are talking about our planes that we live in, Bhulogam, Bhuvarlogam, and Swarlogam. Bhulogam is actually the one that we experience, the physical realm. Bhuvarlogam is at the pranic realm. Swarlogam is the mental level, which is otherwise called as heaven. So that Bhur Bhuva Swaralogam, but then she is beyond that. She's beyond the 3, right? So that is where we saw last week, Trivargatmagam. And now, new verse 21, also we talk about triad. So we'll see what that is. Let's go to 21. Tadillekha Tanvim, Tapana Shashi Vaishwanaраmayim, Nishannam Shannam Apyubari. Shannam Api plus Ubari becomes Shannam Apyubari. Kamalanam Tavakalam, Mahapadmadavyam, Mridita Malamayena Manasa, Mahandak Pashyanto, Dadati Paramahlada Lahiri. So she's explained it as the way that people are experiencing her is like Paramahlada Lahiri. Ahlada means joy. Paramahladam, the extreme joy, extreme wave of joy. Lahari is a wave. So Soundarya Lahari, wave of Soundarya, wave of beauty. And here it is called a wave of joy. So that is how people are experiencing. The person, Mahanta, the great ones or noble spiritual seekers, experience her as Paramahlada Lahari. Tadillekha Tanvim. Tadillekha is lightning. So a lightning like body. Tapana, Shashi, Vaishwanaramai. There are 3 things here. Tapanan, Shashi, Vaishwanaran. Tapanan is a sun. Shashi is moon. Vaishwanaran is Agni. So Agni, Surya, Soma group is called Tapana, Shashi, Vaishwanaramai. So she is manifested as these 3. So again, these are another triad that we are talking about. Nishannam Shannam Apyubari. Nishannam means seated. Shannam Apyubari. Shannam means 6. Shat is the root. Apyubari. On top of that, Kamalanam. Kamalanam is a Padmam, that lotus. Here, Shannam Apyubari Kamalanam. This is showing the 6 Ādhāra Chakram. The chakras are also called as Padmam, Mūlādhāra Padmam, Svādhiṣṭhāna Padmam. So that's why here it is shown as Kamalanam. So Shannam Apyubari Kamalanam is 6 chakras. Tavakalam. So on top of those 6 chakra, we see Tavakalam, your kala. What is kala? We will talk about that. Mahapadmadavyam. On top of 6 chakras, what do we see? Sahasrāra, right? So that is the Mahapadmadavyam. Padmam is lotus. Adavi means it's actually a forest. Vanam, forest is what means. Mahapadmadavya means because there are Sahasrāra Padmam. So that is what it is mentioned here as Mahapadmadavyam. Mritita Mala Mayena. Mritita means lessened, reduced. Mala Mayena. Mala means impurity. Maya, we'll talk about Maya in detail. Removing the impurities and the illusions of Maya. Manasa, the mind that is free from impurities and illusions. Mahanta Pashyanto. Mahanta means great people or noble spiritual seekers is what means here. Pashyanto, they are seeing. Pashyanto, literal meaning is seeing, but here it actually means realizing. Dadati Paramahlada Lahari. Seeing you in that form, Mahanta are experiencing, attaining Paramahlada Lahari. So that's the keyword. Those people are experiencing that ultimate joy, the Lahari of Ahlada, joy. These people who are realizing you in the form of Tadillekha, she is visualized as lightning. And lightning, which is over and above her manifested form of Tapana Shashi Vaishwanaran. So we saw so many of her manifestation. Entire universe is her manifestation, right? But we have tried to categorize it in so many different ways. One is the one that we just saw, that Mukham, Kujayugam, and then Yoni, and Srishti Sthiti Samhara, because she is helping Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, first Śloka. But here it is her manifestation as Agni, Surya, Chandra. So that is Tapana, Shashi, Vaishwanaran. And beyond that, if they experience Devi, that will be in the form of lightning strike. So it is lightning strike actually was because that it is Surya Koti Samaprabha, right? It is like that many multiple suns, that much light is how people are experiencing, the yogis and jnanis that experience Devi when they are enlightened. That's how they're experiencing. Now, this is not seen with our physical eyes. This is something that they are experiencing within their Divya Chakshus, the inside eye is how they are experiencing. Again, the reason why Dakshinamurti Rupam sitting and closing his mouth and not saying anything, and his Diksha is silent, the reason is that there is no way that we can explain consciousness. It's an open secret. Everybody has it. Everybody knows that they exist. Right now, I have a feeling I am. That feeling is there. But if we try to explain it to somebody, you can't do that easily. So here, when Śaṅkarācārya and others are trying to explain this, they are using all these words to explain the unexplainable. So here, the way that they use this, that it's actually the light of Tadillekha, like a lightning. So that's how they are experiencing. After their bodham or awareness pass through all these 6 chakras. We went in detail during verse number 9. We went detail about these 6 chakras. And after our awareness goes through all these chakras, from Mūlādhāra chakra to Ājñā chakra, Channamapyupari. So after passing through all these 6 chakras, then they see Tavakala. In simple meaning, it says that her being, that Kalam, Tavakala. Here also can be taken as Kalam, as Bindu Kala. In Sri Chakram, when we go all the way inside, what we see is Bindu, Baindavasthana, right? That Baindava Kala is what is represented here. When our awareness reaches the Bindu, where she and Shiva are together. Same thing when we reach the Sahasrāra Padmam, she's uniting with Shiva. So explained in different ways in Sri Chakra and here in the Ādhāra chakra, but it's same concept. When our bodham expands and reaches the point Bindu, where Shiva and Shakti unites, where Shakti is unmanifested with Shiva, in that place where we don't experience Dvaita, where we become one with that same Shiva Shakti. We experience that we are that. That is what is mentioned here. So when we go above the Shat Chakra, Shannamapyupari Kamalana. So all these 6 Padmam or 6 Chakram, we go above that, we see her Kala. Her Kala is that Bindu, that in that Sahasrāra Chakra. So Mahapadmatavya. So in Sahasrāra Chakra, we see that. But there is one prerequisite. That's exactly what we are doing the sadhana on every day, chanting Panchakshari and chanting the stotra. What we are doing is what is mentioned here, Malamayena. The reason why we are not experiencing the pure consciousness is because of Maya, because of our ignorance. When Vedanthin says the ignorance, but there are so many malam within us. Malam can be mentioned as 6 Shatripus, the 6 enemies that we have. The 6 enemies that we have are Kama, Krodha, Lopa, Moha, Mada, Matsaryam. Kamam, the desire. Krodham, anger. Lopa, greed. Moha, delusion. Mada, arrogance. Arrogance or pride. I am separate, I am big kind of attitude. Matsaryam is jealousy. So these are the 6 enemies of mind. So those 6 enemies will actually stop us from realizing our true self or consciousness, or pure consciousness, or Ishvara. That is what is mentioned here as Malam. And then Maya. Maya is the one that makes us feel that this universe is limited, that we are limited is because of Maya. In Vedanta terminology, Maya has 2 power. Maya actually has a concealing power called Avarana Shakti. And because of the Avarana Shakti, it causes avidya or ignorance. Avarana Shakti means actually consciousness, that is the only thing that is existing. But how do we see it? We see it as body, mind, prana. We see it as Jagrat, Supna, Sushupti. But there is behind that, there is this consciousness that is constantly available always. But we don't see that, right? That is because of the Avarana Shakti of Maya. The reason why we are not seeing consciousness is because of the Avarana Shakti. The second power of Maya is the Vikshepa Shakti. Instead of seeing consciousness as consciousness, it actually has a projecting power to project something else. So it projects saying that I am different from everything else. So that is the Vikshepa Shakti. So because of those 2 Maya's power, that we cannot realize our true self, which is Atman, Paramatma, Shiva Shakti, all that thing, right? We cannot experience that. In Tantra, it is also said Maya has 5 Kanchugam or cover, which includes Raga, Dvesham, Kala, Kalam, the time, Niyati. So all those things are called Maya's Kanchugam, but we don't have to go detail and then confuse it. But just think that because of Maya, we feel that this unlimited, this vast, boundless consciousness, we feel limited self, limited body, limited mind, limited prana, all that we feel because of Maya. And the reason why we are doing the sadhana is actually to purify all these things, to remove vasana. Vasana is all because of that. So remove the vasana, remove the impurities, remove the illusion. So as we do the sadhana, and again, the sadhana, not just the chanting, but also remember the jabo, jalpa, shilpam. Anything that we are doing, the karmam in this world, do it as a Ishwararpana buddhi, and whatever received as an effect of our karma, just accept that prasada buddhi without any karmic bondage. So that's how we can go beyond this Maya. We are all in the grip of Maya. So we have to liberate us from that Maya and all these impurities. Life is a sadhana, not just chanting on a daily basis, not just that, our life, the entire life. Japo, jalpa, shilpam, sagalamabhimudra, virachana, everything that you have to consider as a sadhana. Making a coffee, doing the work at office, doing anything for kids, and walking, talking, thinking, everything. The best way is that each time we do that, just whoever is the Ishtadevata, just do the arpanam to this, whatever we are doing. Especially at the end of the day, just before you sleep, just do the arpanam of everything that you did so far that day. Just do the arpanam to Devi. Surrender to her. Mentally surrendering to her. That will slowly remove the malam and maya and liberate us from that and take us to that Sahasrāra Patmam, where the Shiva Shakti union happens. Where in that bindu, where the Shiva Shakti union happens, we are not separate from the universe. So where Akhilam becomes me. I'm not this limited being. I am the whole thing that we see, experience. I am that. So that stage, when they reach, that is where Mahanta Pashyando Dadadi Paramahlāda Lahari. And what is the effect of that? Reaching that bindu, reaching that Sahasrāra Patmam, the Mahanta, the spiritual seekers will do the Pashyanti. They see that, say they realize Paramahlāda Lahari. They realize that ultimate joy of Lahari, wave of that joy, is their experience. So, Tadillekha Tanvim Tapana Shashi Vaishwanaramyim Nishannam Shannamapyubari Kamalanam Tavakalam Mahapadmatavyam Mridita Malamayena Manasa, because manas is the one that is gripped with all the malam, all the impurities. Mahanta Pashyanto Dadati Paramahlada Lahiri. So, noble spiritual seekers, the great ones, whose minds are liberated from the impurities of Shat Ripus, the six enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsaryam, and liberated from the illusions of Maya, encounter profound spiritual bliss. They perceive your vision as flashes of lightning within the Sahasrāra Chakra, which transcends the six chakras, including your manifestation as the sun, the moon, and the fire. So, the sun, the moon, and the fire. So we mentioned about the Trivargatmagam, right? We saw Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Srishti, Sthiti, Samharam, so many of them, but she is beyond that. She is that. When we say body, mind, prana, she is our body, she is our mind, she is our prana. That is true. But we don't take her as a limited body, limited mind, limited prana. That is the problem. We always seek that, okay, this is me. This limited thing that call as Gina, that is me. That is the problem. Definitely she is this body. She is this mind. She is this prana. But we have to see her beyond that. She is this plus beyond, right? So that's how we have to transcend that triadness. We have to do that. We saw our chakras, Mūlādhāram, Svādhiṣṭhāna, Maṇipūra, Anāhata, Viśuddhi, and Ājñā, the Shat chakras. And in the chakra, she is also manifesting as Agni, Surya, and Chandra. So the first two chakras, Mūlādhāra and Svādhiṣṭhāna, it is in those chakras, she's manifesting as Agni. On the next two, the Maṇipūra and Anāhata, that is where she's manifested as Surya. So this Agni is where more like at the physical plane. Surya is more like pranic, our energy realm. And then the next two, the Viśuddhi and Ājñā chakram, she is manifested as Chandra. Chandra is more the mental plane. So Agni is the physical plane, Surya, pranic level, and Chandra as the mental. So this is where Agni, Surya, and Chandra. Of course, she is this three, but she is beyond that too. She is that lightning, that transcending beyond the Agni, Surya, Chandra. So here, the simple example will be, so we make the jewelry of gold. There is a bangle made of gold, mala made of gold, tiara made of gold, but everything is actually the gold, right? Usually we see it as a bangle or mala or tiara. We don't see it as a gold. But for a thief, always he see the value of gold, not the nama and rupa. So Nochur Swami gave a good example of how we should be like a thief. One of this girl is getting married, and her grandma offers her the grandma's all golden jewelry, which is like old pattern. It's very chunky, very big gold that was offered. The girl is like, no, these are all very old. I want the newest model, very thin. I don't want this big gold, right? So she went to the shop and then got all the thin jewelry. And then they come back, they put it in the safe. So grandma's jewelry, the big, bulky, more gold jewelry is in one safe, and this new one that she bought, smaller, lesser value, lesser gold amount, is in the second safe. So now at night, a thief comes to the house. He has 5 minutes to open the safe and escape. And he sees this two safe, like it's glass door, and only it's time to open one of the safe. Which one do you think he will open? The one that the girl bought, or the one that belongs to grandma? Obviously, he looks at he will take the grandma's, because he see the value of gold. But the girl is looking at the nama rupa. That's where she's seeing the value. So what Vedanta says is that we have to be like that thief. So we have to see beyond the nama rupam, beyond the mala, the bangle, or the tiara. We have to see the gold. So that is where that lightning, or when we say the turiya avastha, that fourth consciousness. And this is the same thing that we are talking. You might remember when we were talking about this 3.5 coiled snake Kundalini Shakti. When we were talking about that, we said there is a 3.5 coil. So this 3 are the Trivargatmagam, anything that we see as a nama rupam, and the half is the one that is Turiyam, that is beyond. So here, the way that she's experienced in that Bindu, her kala, the Maindava kala, is like a lightning. So which is beyond the Agni, Surya, and Chandra. Which is beyond the Jagra, Supna, Sushupti, Srishti, Sthiti, Samharam. So she's that constant thing that we are experiencing throughout. So once we are removed from the hold of Maya, once all the impurities, all the vasanas in us are clarified, then we reach that Baindavasthana. We reach that Sahasrāra Padmam. So may Devi's blessing be with all of us to reach that Sahasrāra Padmam in this very lifetime. Om Shri Matre Namah. May Devi's blessings be with you all always.